Okay, here we are with the outer gearbox cover removed. I've just cleaned things up a bit, so all the sort of gear selection stays in the outer casing, and that's the pawl, which is not just loose, which is how it should be. But we'll just fully dismantle this later on and cover all the gear selection later. But for now, I'm just putting the cover aside, which turns us to the inner cover. So we've got the kickstart, and then we've got the clutch operating mechanism, and there we've got the selector that'll actually change the gears inside the sort of fork that change the gears inside the gearbox. And I don't know how well you can see this, but there's this sort of trunnion, or what do they call it. There'll probably be a headline here somewhere with me, saying what the proper name of it is. It's called a trunnion, I think, for the Mark III, because it's spherical, but this one's got a different name. And you can't remove it. One thing about this is you can't remove this, should you wish to, without taking the inner casing off. And I know that they changed it for the Mark III so that you can take this out without taking the inner gearbox casing off. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove the gear operating mechanism and use a special tool to then unscrew it, and that will then reveal the gearbox mainshaft nut underneath it, and our main sort of task for today is to loosen that nut, which is done up to a very high torque, and then at the same time remove the nut on the that holds this final the gearbox sprocket on, which is looking very worn. Yeah. Okay. And that's our main problem, is to lock those two nuts up so that we can unscrew them. The one on the gearbox sprocket is a left-hand thread. This one's right-hand thread. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is remove the actual cable holder on the clutch clutch operating mechanism. So that's a small nut and bolt that go through the shaft, and then this is actually, let's see if we can get that out now. There we go. Now, because in there, this is actually a two-piece. All right, there's actually a little shaft, a little collar inside the disc. Okay, so it's important not to lose that, and that fits on the bolt that goes through. So I'll just screw it back together to make doubly sure I don't lose that, and then the actual lever itself comes off. Then I'm going to use my special tool, or at least try to remove the locking ring which holds this. And what I've done is I've made a punch mark on the casing and on the locking ring, so hopefully when we come to put it back together we'll be able to put it back in the same place. So this is a special tool because a locking ring just has two sort of cutaways to unscrew it, and we have these the special tool has these ears on it which fit into those cutaways. Of course you can use a punch to try and knock it round, but you end up making a bit of a mess of things. So it's a very simple special tool. If you've got one, then obviously it's so much the better. Just makes life a bit easier. Okay, I've got the Mega Blaster out. I've got a UNF. Well, the tool takes a sort of standard UNF. Off it comes. So we've got the locking ring which holds the actual shaft in place, and then underneath that is the giant ball bearing, and that goes on the end of the clutch push rod, so that when you push the clutch in, if you think about it, this end is stationary of the push rod. The other end is going round and round and round and round, you know, with the bike. So quite simply, this ball bearing just turns so that the clutch push rod. Otherwise, the clutch push rod, if it didn't have that bearing, it'd be, you know, one end would be turning, the other end would be stationary. You'd just be wearing that clutch push rod away very, very fast. So this just enables the clutch push rod to turn with the sprocket on the back, and whilst this end is still. Simple but effective. I'll bag those up in a minute. So there we have the dear old clutch, the gearbox main shaft nut. So if you can see that, I know that's done up to a huge torque. It's looking strangely rusty in our case. Well, that's because, although there's oil on it, I can only surmise that, you know, there wasn't much oil in the gearbox, which is obviously sitting at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's what's happened. The oil was sitting at the bottom, so the oil hasn't really reached the top. But it has got oil on it because, of course, I've been sloshing it around trying to drain the gearbox. So I'm sure that would look very dry and rusty normally. Right, I'll find the right socket, and then we're going to have a go at getting that nut off, which I'm sure is going to be fun. Okay, so we're back on Whitworth, and what I'm going to do is, because I've got the impact driver which works so well, I'm going to try and undo that nut. And all I've done is to put a pair of mole grips onto the gearbox sprocket. Is obviously put it in gear. You can put things in gear by levering the quadrant up and down. And because I'm using the impact driver, the shock of the impact driver might be enough. You know, if I was just trying to lever it, there's no way that is going to work. But because of the shock of the impact driver, I'd say a 50% chance of that undoing as it is. But we'll give it a go. I'm going to put my gloves on because there's a 30% chance of the mole grips flying off at high speed and causing damage. So anyway, but I'll give it a go. You never know. No, didn't want to know that. The mole grips didn't fly off, but they, you know, I'll just try tightening them up a bit more. I'm just being lazy because there's better ways of locking that. Well, we might have to use them because if this won't get the nut off, we'll have to lock that end properly. It came off that time. Yeah. So that's the advantage of having an impact driver, because just by doing that by hand, no way would that have worked. But we've got it off now. What I would have done, and we might have to do that to get the gearbox sprocket off anyway, I've got an old rear chain here. Okay, and I'd have wrapped the rear chain round the sprocket and then got my vise out, locked the chain in the vise, which would then lock the sprocket on the chain in the vise, and then undo that. But because I've got the impact driver, just by locking it on the mole grips, it was enough. I might try this method again with the gearbox nut, which is what we're going to do now. The dear old gearbox sprocket nut. Once we've undone these two nuts, the rest is plain sailing. But I've got these blocks of wood, obviously, because I can try and stand the gearbox up at an angle. So we're going to try and undo this nut now, which is left-hand thread. The one on the end of the main shaft, that's standard right-hand thread. So what we've got a locking ring, which we need to remove. I'll take my gloves off so I've got a bit more control. Oh, blimey. All I have to do is undo that little grub spool. Half an hour later. Oh, crikey. A stupid thing like that. And it would be difficult to actually get the impact driver on that if that hadn't come off. And then there's the sort of serrated locking washer. Come on. Which will now fall off. Thank you. Okay. So I'm just thinking I might not be able to do this now because I need a socket that's long enough to go over the gearbox main shaft to get on that nut. Now I'm pretty sure I've got a socket that's the right size, but I don't know it's deep enough. I don't think it is deep enough to go over the main shaft. I thought I had a socket that was the right size. I think it's that one. Yeah. Oh, this one. It's one of the two. But it's not, yeah, I'm going to have to take the gearbox main shaft off first before I undo this nut. I'll try and undo that nut because I can't get a socket. I might be able to get a box spanner, which is what you did originally, I think, get a box spanner over that. But then, of course, if I can't get the impact driver on it. Yeah. So yeah, what's that? 1 5/16, the infamous 1 5/16. 1.5. Yeah, 1 5/16. Well, yeah, 1.5. Yeah, so that's 1.5. Yeah. What have we got here? Yeah, 1.5. That's the right socket for it. But yeah, I can't get a shock on it. So if I locked it with the mole grips now, then all I could do with the box spanner is to try and, well, it's left-hand thread, isn't it? So try and undo it, but I'm sure it won't come off. Oh, for heaven's sake, are you kidding me? Oh, I don't believe it. Oh, it goes from the sublime to the ridiculous, this bike. It does. You know, I'm just thinking about that engine sprocket, and this one is finger tight. I'm not joking, it's finger tight. Look at that. There's me worrying about locking it and shocking it and getting it, and the damn nut on the gearbox sprocket is finger tight. I think that's supposed to be 70 or 80 foot-pounds tight. That I can't remember. Obviously, we'll do this on when we put it back together. But that's supposed to be really tight, and it turns out to be finger tight, and it just came off by just by turning the box spanner. Crikey O'Reilly, everything is, you know. And then the actual sprocket, which will definitely be replacing. Off it comes, what's that, 20 tooth? I think that's 20 tooth. So let's get this right. Yeah, so the smaller number of teeth. Hang on. Yeah, I always get this wrong, don't I? So the bigger the number of teeth, the lower the higher the gearing. You know, so if you want relaxed, let's get this right, I'm fairly sure, yeah. So if you want relaxed motorway speeds, then you have a bigger sprocket. And if you want more acceleration, then you have a smaller sprocket. So I always get confused between the front sprocket and the rear sprocket. I always have to try and remember my racing bike from back in the days, you know, the derailleur gears. And on the back end, the smaller the sprocket, the taller the gearing. On the front, the bigger the sprocket, the taller the gearing. Yeah. Okay, well that's good. So that's you know, I think the engine has realised it's been a bit of a pain getting it apart up to now, and it's saying, okay, fair cop, you've had your fair share of problems. So tell you what, we'll just make that nut finger tight for you, because that can be a nightmare to get off. And as I say, what I would have done was put the vice on the bench, wrapped an old chain round the sprocket, put the chain in the vice, and then sort of like put the gearbox up tight against the vice so there's no play, and then it should come off. but it's great that it's done that, because on my bike it was so tight that when I put that, my vice is I just clamp it to the bench, it's not bolted to the bench, and this was on so tight on my bike that when I did that it just ripped the vice off the bench, and I had to sort of like find different ways. I had to like wedge the vice against the wall and then get it off. So this was a bit easier. Right, so now we'll go back to taking the inner casing off.